While most of big tech is duking it out for slices of your attention, there are four companies building something else entirely. In this explainer, we're going to break down Nvidia, Tesla, xAI, and SpaceX. Four companies that aren't just shaping the next decade, they're literally building the infrastructure for intelligence itself.
Okay, let's really get into this, because this is the key difference. The old guard, right? We're talking Google, Meta, Apple. Their entire empire was built on platforms designed to monetize human attention. These four, they are playing a completely different game.
What they're building is something we're calling the civilization stack. And it's a totally new model where the product isn't your time, it's the capacity for non-human thought. From the silicon that generates intelligence all the way up to the orbital network that delivers it everywhere. So let's break it down, starting right at the foundation.
And that foundation, of course, is Nvidia, the company that's manufacturing the raw material of AI. And look, the money they're making, it's just on a scale that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. I mean, just look at this number. In a single quarter, that's just 3 months, Nvidia's data centers division pulled in over $68 billion in revenue. It's a figure that almost doesn't seem real.
Let me put that into perspective for you. Every single quarter, Nvidia makes more than a global giant like Nike does in a whole year. So how on earth did they pull this off?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. They own the entire field. Nvidia controls somewhere between 80 and 90% of the market for AI accelerators, the special chips that are the engines of AI. But it's not just the hardware, right? It's their secret weapon, CUDA. That's the software platform that lets developers unlock all that power. And it's created this massive, massive moat with 4 million developers locked in. It's almost impossible for competitors to even get close.
And get this, they are not taking their foot off the gas, not for a second. The new Blackwell chip gives you 30 times the performance for AI inference. The next-gen one, Vera Rubin, promises another 10 times leap in efficiency. And this shows their whole strategy. They're pivoting hard towards the inference market. And all that means is, actually using the AI models in the real world, not just training them. And that market, it's projected to be 10 times bigger.
And if you want to understand the grand vision, you just have to listen to the CEO, Jensen Huang. He's predicting a future where his human employees work alongside 7.5 million AI agents. That's 100 digital workers for every person. This isn't just about selling computer chips anymore. This is about completely rethinking what a workforce even is.
Okay, so we've got the foundation. Nvidia is manufacturing intelligence. But what good is that intelligence if it can't, do anything? It needs a way to see the world, to act in it. It needs a body, and it needs a mind. And that, my friends, is where Tesla and xAI come in. And this, right here, is maybe the single most polarizing bet in all of tech. Because when it comes to Tesla being the body for AI, there are two stories being told, and they are completely opposite, but both are incredibly compelling.
So the bull case for Tesla, it really boils down to one word: data. Just look at this. Their full self-driving fleet has clocked about 7 billion real-world miles, collecting data that nobody else can touch. Their nearest rival, Waymo, 127 million. That is a 55-to-1 data advantage, and that gap is getting wider every single day.
Okay, but here's where it gets complicated. On the one hand, the bulls will tell you FSD is 7 times safer than a human driver. They'll point to over 1,000 Optimus robots already working in the factories, and the fact that the first cybercab just started production. But on the other hand, the bears have a totally different story. They'll point out that the robo-taxi service actually has a worse crash rate than humans, there are 3 active federal investigations, and the whole thing relies on regulatory approval that, well, they just don't have yet. Okay, so you have the body collecting all this data. Now you need a mind to make sense of it all. And enter xAI. This company's rise is just staggering. I mean, it's probably the most aggressive, most insane company launch we've seen in years. Founded in 2023, hits a $250 billion valuation in basically 2 years, the fastest ever, and then gets snapped up by SpaceX for $1.25 trillion.
So you have to understand, xAI is a massive, massive gamble. Let's just walk through the pros and cons here. Pro, its Groq model is absolutely world-class. Pro, they built their supercomputer in record time. They've got instant distribution to 600 million users on X, and they just landed a huge Pentagon contract. Now the cons, they're burning through $1 billion a month. A month. Most of the co-founders are gone, they're facing huge fines in Europe for deepfakes, and they shipped their main model without a standard safety card. It is a true high-wire act.
Okay, so you have the silicon, you have the body, you have the mind, but how do you get that intelligence to everyone, everywhere, instantly? Well, that brings us to the final and frankly the most mind-bending piece of this whole stack, SpaceX. And look, forget about just providing internet. That's not the real play here. The real vision is orbital compute. The plan, and this is wild, is to launch up to 1 million satellites. But these aren't just for internet. They're designed to be floating data centers in space, powered by the sun 24/7. And the end goal could generate 100 gigawatts of AI compute from orbit, becoming the world's cheapest provider available from literally anywhere on the planet.
And if you want to get a sense of just how big they're thinking, when Elon Musk was asked if SpaceX was going to become an AI hyperscaler, his answer was 2 words: hyper.
So, when you step back and you put all of these pieces together, you start to see it, right? This isn't just 4 separate, ambitious companies. What you're looking at is a single, vertically integrated structure. It's designed to control every single layer of intelligence.
Let's just lay it out one more time. This is the complete stock. Nvidia, they build the silicon. They literally manufacture the intelligence. xAI, that's the mind. It trains the AI models. Tesla, that's the body. It deploys that AI into the physical world with robots and cars, letting it learn from and change our reality. And finally, SpaceX, that's the network. It builds the orbital layer to deliver that intelligence to every last corner of the globe. Now, look, let's be real. Any one of these huge bets could absolutely fail, spectacularly. But here's the kicker. They don't all have to win. They don't even need to be right about everything. Think about it. If Nvidia just keeps its dominance in chips, or if the Optimus robots are even a fraction as successful as they hope, or if even a tiny piece of that orbital compute vision becomes real, each one of these companies, on its own, becomes one of the most valuable enterprises in human history. So what we're watching here, this isn't just another tech story. It's the blueprints for a whole new kind of civilization being drawn up right in front of us. And it really leaves us with 2 big questions. And I want you to think about this. Of these 4 monumental bets on our future, which one do you think has the highest ceiling? And which one scares you the most?